Are you tired of letting anger control your life and your relationships? Do you find yourself reacting too quickly, saying things you later regret, or feeling frustrated over situations you cannot change? Imagine being able to stay calm no matter what happens, responding with clarity and confidence instead of letting emotions take over. In this video, you will learn practical, real-life strategies to master the art of never getting angry. You will discover how to control your thoughts, breathe deeply to stay calm, observe before reacting, listen fully to others, and practice patience daily. You will learn how to focus on solutions, reflect on your triggers, speak slowly during conflicts, accept what cannot change, and build the self-discipline needed to maintain composure in every situation. By the end, you will have actionable tools to transform your mindset and take control of your emotions completely. Number 1, control your thoughts to stop anger. You want to master the art of never getting angry? And it all starts with control over your thoughts. Anger is not a sudden event. It begins quietly in the mind, long before it appears on your face or in your actions. Most people think anger just happens, like it falls from the sky, but it doesn't. It begins with a thought, a judgment, an interpretation of events, and if left unchecked, it grows into an explosive reaction. The first and most important skill is to understand that you have the ability to choose what you think. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life. When you start recognizing that every feeling of anger has a thought behind it, you take the first step toward mastery. Controlling your thoughts is not about suppressing emotions or pretending anger does not exist. It is about taking responsibility for what you allow your mind to dwell on. Each time a situation arises that might provoke you, you have the power to decide what to focus on. You can choose to focus on frustration, on the injustice, on the insult, or you can choose to focus on understanding, on learning, on maintaining your inner balance. This choice is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practice. You will not master it overnight, but each moment you choose awareness over reaction, you strengthen your mind and weaken the hold of anger. Begin by noticing the first stirrings of anger. Pay attention to the physical signs, because your body reacts before your mind fully processes what is happening. Your heart beats faster, your muscles tense, your stomach tightens, your breath becomes shallow. These are signals that your thoughts are moving in a direction that leads to anger. When you recognize these signals, pause. Even a brief pause can interrupt the automatic chain reaction. Pause and ask yourself what you are thinking that is causing this tension. Often, simply naming the thought will reduce its intensity. Saying in your mind, "I am feeling provoked because I believe this is unfair," shifts your awareness from an automatic reaction to conscious observation. It is important to realize that anger is almost always based on assumptions, expectations, or judgments about how things should be. We become angry because we expect the world to bend to our ideas of fairness or propriety. We expect people to behave according to our rules. We expect life to unfold exactly as we imagine it. And when reality does not meet those expectations, anger rises. By controlling your thoughts, you begin to question these expectations. You start asking yourself if your assumptions are accurate. You start noticing how much unnecessary suffering comes from rigid thinking. A flexible mind is a calm mind because it does not insist that life conform to its desire. Practically, this means training yourself to step back mentally before responding to provocation. When someone says or does something that triggers you, take a moment to separate the event from your interpretation. You cannot always control the actions of others, but you can control your thinking about those actions. Instead of immediately labeling someone's behavior as offensive or unfair, analyze it from a perspective of curiosity. Ask yourself what could be influencing their behavior. Ask yourself how your perception might be adding fuel to the fire. By doing this, you shift the focus from blame to understanding. Anger loses its power when your mind stops amplifying it. Another essential aspect of controlling your thoughts is choosing what you allow to occupy your mind daily. Your mind is a garden, and whatever thoughts you plant will grow. If you feed resentment, frustration, and bitterness, they will flourish. If you feed patience, calm, and perspective, these qualities strengthen. Begin each day intentionally. Decide what kind of person you will be, how you will respond to difficulties, and what attitudes you will nurture. Write down affirmations or reminders if necessary. This practice is not for decoration, it is for training your mind to respond instead of reacting. It is about creating mental habits that support your peace of mind. Understand that controlling your thoughts does not mean ignoring injustice or pretending life is always pleasant. It means approaching situations strategically. Anger clouds judgment and limits options. When your mind is calm, you see clearly and your responses become more effective. You act with purpose, not with impulse. You find solutions rather than creating problems. The difference between people who live in constant frustration and people who maintain composure is rarely circumstances. It is the ability to manage thoughts before they manifest as anger. This skill is also about awareness of triggers. Everyone has patterns, and everyone knows what provokes them most easily. Identify your triggers, reflect on why they have power over you, and prepare your mind in advance. When you anticipate situations that normally lead to anger, consciously choose thoughts that empower rather than enrage. Remind yourself that nothing outside of your mind can truly control your inner state. The outside world acts as a mirror, reflecting your inner thinking. Control the reflection by controlling the mind. Visualization is another powerful tool. Imagine yourself in situations that normally make you angry. See yourself responding calmly, speaking without harshness, maintaining your posture and voice in control. Your mind practices before your body has to perform. This rehearsal trains neural pathways so that when real situations arise, calm responses come more naturally. The mind learns through repetition and consistency. By repeatedly thinking through composed responses, you condition yourself to react in a way that aligns with your goals and values rather than impulse and anger. Finally, remember that controlling your thoughts is a lifelong practice. There will be moments of failure, moments when anger emerges despite your efforts. These moments are not defeat, they are opportunities to learn, reflect on them. Understand what allowed anger to slip in, and strengthen your approach for next time. Each victory, no matter how small, builds confidence and self-mastery. The people who never get angry are not superhuman. They are disciplined, aware, and intentional with their thought. They have trained themselves to pause, assess, and choose before responding. The impact of mastering your thoughts goes beyond anger. It transforms relationships, careers, and personal well-being. When you do not react with anger, others respect and trust you more. You make better decisions because clarity replaces clouded judgment. You conserve energy, which would otherwise be wasted on resentment, and redirect it toward meaningful action. You become someone who solves problems instead of creating them, someone who influences rather than alienates. To practice this today, start small. Notice your thoughts in one interaction, one challenge, or one frustrating moment. Stop and evaluate the thinking behind your reaction. Ask yourself if your response is helpful or harmful. Train your mind to choose thoughts that maintain calm, promote understanding, and strengthen your position rather than weaken it. Do this consistently, and over time, you will find that anger loses its grip. You will experience more peace, more control, and more influence over your life than ever before. Mastering the art of never getting angry begins and ends with controlling your thoughts. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of your emotions. You are the manager of your mind, the director of your responses, and the architect of your inner state. Take this responsibility seriously and practice it daily. Train your mind, observe your thoughts, challenge your assumptions, and choose calm over chaos. The journey is ongoing, but the rewards are profound, lasting, and life-changing. Anger does not have to control you. Your thoughts can, and when they do, your life transforms. The power to never get angry is available to anyone willing to take control of their thinking, to be disciplined in their awareness, and to choose responses strategically. It is a skill, a habit, and a mindset. Every moment you practice thought control, you take a step closer to a life marked by composure, wisdom, and respect from others. You gain clarity, strength, and freedom. Control your thoughts, and the world reacts differently to you. You become the person you want to be, unshaken by provocation, unburdened by resentment, and empowered in every interaction. Master this, and anger becomes a memory rather than a force. Every day presents opportunities to practice. Every challenge is a test. Every interaction is a chance to strengthen your mind. Choose thoughts that elevate you, not thoughts that enslave you. The mind is the battlefield where anger is won or lost. Victory comes from discipline, awareness, and conscious choice. Commit to controlling your thoughts, and you will master the art of never getting angry, experiencing a life that is calm, strategic, and powerful in its peace. You are capable of this. You have the power to decide how you respond. Your thoughts are your responsibility. Take that responsibility seriously. Observe, pause, reflect, and choose. Practice it relentlessly. Mastering your thoughts is the gateway to mastering your life. And in that mastery, anger has no place. This is not theory. It is not advice. It is a reality that works for anyone willing to practice, for anyone willing to take control, and for anyone ready to become a stronger, calmer, more empowered version of themselves. This is where mastery begins, and it begins with the mind. Control your thoughts, control your anger, and transform your life. Number 2, breathe deeply to stay calm. Take a deep breath right now and notice how it changes everything. Breathing is not just a physical function, it is a tool that connects your mind, body, and emotions in a way that is immediate and powerful. Most people underestimate how much control they have over their state simply by using their breath. Anger starts in the mind, but it travels through the body. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your muscles stiffen, and your mind begins to spiral. When you learn to breathe deeply, slowly, and intentionally, you interrupt this chain reaction before it grows. You give yourself space to respond instead of react. The first step in mastering deep breathing is awareness. Notice the shallow, fast breaths that come when frustration begins to rise. Most people are completely unaware of how their breathing changes under stress. They assume anger is happening to them externally, but it is always amplified internally through their body's reaction. By observing your breath, you are taking the first step to regain control. Awareness is the foundation. Once you see the signs, you can act with precision and purpose. Deep breathing works because it signals the body to shift from fight or flight mode to a calmer, more controlled state. When you take slow, deliberate breaths, your nervous system responds. Your heart rate decreases, your muscles relax, and your mind gains clarity. You feel a tangible release of tension. This is not a temporary trick. It is a strategic action that changes your physiology and gives your brain the conditions it needs to think clearly. Without clear thinking, anger becomes the default response. With clear thinking, you gain choice. Begin by inhaling deeply through your nose, filling your lungs completely. Hold the breath for a moment, feeling the fullness and expansion in your chest and stomach. Then exhale slowly and fully through your mouth, releasing tension with the air. Focus entirely on the rhythm, the movement, and the sensation of your lungs expanding and contracting. Every time you do this, your body starts to unlearn the automatic patterns of tension that anger thrives on. This is a habit you can strengthen with practice, and over time it becomes automatic. Use your breath as a tool in the moment. When someone provokes you or when a frustrating situation arises, do not react immediately. Instead, take a slow, controlled breath. Let it fill your body and then release it. Another breath follows, and with it, more control. Each deliberate inhalation and exhalation interrupts the physical buildup of anger. The tension that fuels rash words and impulsive actions begins to dissolve. You will notice how your thoughts become sharper, your voice steadier, and your presence calmer. The power of breathing lies in its simplicity. Yet very few people use it intentionally in high-stress moments. Breathing deeply also improves your emotional awareness. When anger begins to rise, emotions often feel overwhelming and uncontrollable. But when you engage in conscious breathing, you create a buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. You allow yourself a moment to recognize the emotion without being consumed by it. You observe the feeling instead of being hijacked by it. This observation gives you a choice to act from clarity or to act from impulse. Your mind becomes a decision maker, not a slave to emotion. It is also crucial to integrate deep breathing into daily life. This is not a skill reserved for crises. Practice it in quiet moments, during morning routines, while walking, or before meals. Build the habit of checking in with your breath several times a day. Notice how tension accumulates in your body and consciously release it with a few deep breaths. Over time, this steady practice strengthens your emotional resilience. You will find that minor annoyances no longer trigger extreme reactions, and major challenges are met with clarity rather than chaos. Combine deep breathing with visualization for even greater effect. Picture the stress or anger as a tension in your body that you can move with your breath. Imagine inhaling calm, clarity, and control. Imagine exhaling frustration, irritation, and tension. This mental rehearsal reinforces the physiological effect of your breath. You train your body and your mind simultaneously. The combination of conscious breath and focused intention creates a state of presence that anger cannot penetrate. It is important to understand that deep breathing is more than relaxation. It is a strategic intervention in the moment of emotional escalation. It gives you power, not passivity. When you engage in deliberate breathing, you reclaim authority over your body, your thoughts, and your responses. Anger cannot thrive in a body that is calm, and it cannot dominate a mind that is centered. Breathing is a simple tool, but its effects are profound. It changes how you feel, how you act, and ultimately, how others respond to you. This practice also strengthens self-confidence. When you realize that you can regulate your emotional state in challenging situations, you stop feeling like life controls you. You stop feeling helpless in the face of provocation. The power to remain calm, to breathe, and to think clearly becomes an empowering habit. Each time you do it successfully, you reinforce your belief in your ability to manage yourself under pressure. This confidence extends to all areas of life, from relationships to work to personal challenges. Do not underestimate the cumulative effect of consistent practice. Each deep breath is a small victory over the automatic reactions that have dominated your life. Each moment you choose calm over agitation reinforces the neural pathways that lead to emotional mastery. Over time, what once required conscious effort becomes second nature. You will respond calmly, not because life is always easy, but because you have trained your body and mind to respond strategically. Remember that anger often comes from feeling out of control. Deep breathing restores control immediately. It is accessible in any situation. You can do it sitting in traffic, during a heated discussion, or in the middle of a difficult meeting. No external resources are needed, only your awareness and your willingness to act. This is why it is so effective and why it works in real life. It is simple, actionable, and immediate. Combine breathing with reflection to reinforce learning. After each challenging encounter, reflect on how using deep breaths affected your response. Notice the difference in your tone, your energy, and your focus. This reflection helps you understand the power of the technique and motivates continued practice. You begin to value calm not just as a feeling, but as a tool that creates better outcomes in life. Finally, approach deep breathing as a skill worth mastering. Like any other, treat it seriously, practice consistently, and apply it strategically. The simplicity of this tool does not reduce its power. Mastering your breath is one of the most practical, effective, and life-changing methods for managing anger. By controlling your breath, you control your body. By controlling your body, you control your mind. By controlling your mind, you control your reaction. The ripple effect reaches every corner of your life, improving relationships, decisions, and personal well-being. Every deep breath is a choice. Every exhale a release. Anger loses strength when you refuse to feed it with shallow, rushed, uncontrolled energy. Calm becomes your default state when you integrate breathing as a practice, not just a reaction. The results are tangible, immediate, and sustainable. You will feel stronger, clearer, and more in command of your life than ever before. Take this seriously. Practice it relentlessly. Teach yourself to breathe deeply in every moment of tension. Train your body, train your mind, and train your response. Anger may appear, but it will not dominate you. Each breath builds resilience. Each pause strengthens awareness. And each moment of aim reinforces your capacity to act rather than react. Deep breathing is a tool, a strategy, and a lifestyle choice. Master it, and you gain mastery over one of the most destructive forces in life. Number 3, observe before reacting emotionally. Every reaction you make in anger comes from a choice you can control, if you are willing to pause and observe. Most people move through life reacting automatically to every word, gesture, or circumstance without taking a moment to truly see what is happening. They let emotions dictate behavior, and in that instant, they lose power over themselves. Observing before reacting is a skill that separates those who live in constant frustration from those who navigate challenges with clarity and control. It is not passive. It is deliberate, powerful, and transformative. Observation begins with noticing the gap between stimulus and response. When someone says something provocative, your immediate reaction may be anger, irritation, or defensiveness. That reaction is automatic. But if you learn to pause and simply watch what is occurring in your mind and body, you gain control. Your heartbeat, your breath, your thoughts all signal the onset of emotional escalation. Observing these signals without judgment allows you to step outside the automatic loop and consider your next move carefully. You regain the ability to choose a response rather than be driven by reaction. Pay attention to the thoughts that arise the moment you feel provoked. Many people do not realize that anger is fueled by their own interpretations and assumptions. Observing your thoughts helps you see which beliefs or expectations are feeding your frustration. Perhaps someone said something that seemed disrespectful, but is it possible that it was unintentional or a reflection of their own struggles? Simply noticing the thought allows you to detach from it and assess the situation more objectively. The moment of observation is where freedom begins. Observation also includes noticing your body's physical cues. Tension in the shoulders, tightness in the jaw, rapid breathing, a racing pulse. These are all early warning signs that anger is building. By seeing these signals without immediately acting, you can intervene before the emotion overwhelms you. Awareness of your physical state is a critical tool because it grounds you in reality. When the mind is clouded by emotion, the body can guide you back to calm and rational action. Practically, this means creating a pause long enough to evaluate the situation. Even a few seconds can make a difference. In that pause, ask yourself what is really happening. Ask whether your perception might be distorted. Ask what the best course of action is in this moment. Observing allows you to collect facts, not assumptions. It turns reactive energy into strategic energy. When people act without observing, they often regret what they said or did. When they observe, they act with intention and retain their dignity. Observation does not mean detachment from reality or passivity. It means presence. It means fully experiencing what is happening without immediately allowing emotion to dictate your response. The mind learns to hold space for facts and context before judgment. This practice strengthens emotional intelligence because it teaches you to recognize triggers without giving them power. Each instance you observe without reacting reinforces self-mastery. Another dimension of observation is listening carefully. So often, anger arises because people mishear, misinterpret, or assume intent. By observing and truly listening, you gain information instead of reacting to assumptions. Notice tone, word choice, and body language. Notice your own internal dialogue. Is your mind making the situation bigger than it is? Observation transforms misunderstanding into clarity and reduces unnecessary conflict. Observation also allows you to recognize patterns. Over time, you begin to see which types of situations trigger strong emotional reactions. You can track the recurring themes in your behavior and the types of people or circumstances that challenge you most. Awareness of patterns gives you foresight. You can prepare mentally, set boundaries, and strengthen your responses. Observing is the foundation for learning from experience rather than being trapped in repeated mistakes. This skill requires patience. The human mind wants to react quickly, and it takes discipline to pause and observe consistently. Initially, it may feel awkward or slow, but the benefits are undeniable. You will notice a decrease in regret, improved relationships, and a stronger sense of control over your life. Every time you observe before reacting, you teach your mind that response is a choice, not a compulsion. This principle applies in minor conflicts and major confrontations alike. Observation is also about understanding the perspective of others. When you pause and truly watch, you begin to consider the intentions, pressures, and emotions of the people around you. This understanding does not excuse harmful behavior, but it allows you to respond strategically rather than emotionally. You become someone who solves problems, not someone who escalates them. Observation empowers you to respond with reason and compassion instead of fury. It is important to integrate observation into daily life as a continuous practice. Begin with small moments, traffic delays, minor irritations, or brief disagreements. Each instance is an opportunity to exercise the skill. The more frequently you practice observing, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, pausing to assess and understand before reacting becomes a habit, and anger no longer has the automatic control it once had. Your mind becomes the driver of your life, not your emotion. Observation also enhances clarity of thought. When the mind is not clouded by immediate emotion, decisions become smarter and more effective. You will notice that situations that previously caused frustration now feel manageable. You can evaluate options calmly, weigh consequences, and choose the most beneficial course of action. Observation shifts power from emotion to reason and from impulsivity to strategy. This is a reality-based skill that works in every area of life. It is important to recognize that observation does not eliminate emotion. Feeling frustration or irritation is natural, but observing allows you to manage it constructively. You acknowledge the feeling without letting it control your action. You retain authority over your behavior while staying fully aware of your emotional state. This mastery builds self-confidence because you learn that emotions do not dictate your action. Over time, observing before reacting strengthens resilience. You will face challenges and provocation, but your ability to pause and assess will prevent unnecessary conflict. People will respect your composure. You will maintain relationships with less tension and navigate high-pressure situations with clarity. Observation is a practical, actionable, and highly effective method for mastering emotional control in real life. Combine observation with journaling or reflection to reinforce learning. After challenging moments, review how you observed before responding. Identify what worked, what could be improved, and how your awareness affected the outcome. Reflection deepens understanding, reinforces positive habits, and solidifies the skill as part of your daily life. Observation without reflection loses potential. Reflection without observation misses the opportunity. Together, they create a powerful path to self-mastery. Finally, observation is a lifelong practice. The world will continue to provoke, challenge, and frustrate you. No technique guarantees zero anger, but observation provides the framework to respond intentionally. By committing to awareness, by noticing thoughts, emotions, and physical cues, by listening carefully, and by reflecting on each encounter, you build mastery over reactions. You transform your responses from impulsive and destructive to deliberate and constructive. Every time you pause and observe, you reclaim power over yourself. You train your mind to act with clarity, not impulsivity. You teach your body that anger does not have to take over. You gain insight into others and into situations. Observation strengthens relationships, enhances decision-making, and improves personal well-being. It is a practical skill, not a theory, and its results are immediate and measurable in daily life. Take observation seriously. Make it a habit. Notice before you respond. Consider before you react. Analyze before you judge. Awareness is the foundation for mastering anger and achieving composure. Your ability to observe transforms challenges into opportunities, conflict into understanding, and frustration into control. You gain power over your life, your mind, and your emotions. Master observation, and anger becomes a manageable tool rather than a force that controls you. Number 4, listen fully to understand others. True understanding begins when you stop talking and start listening with full attention. Most people believe they are listening, but in reality, they are preparing their next response, judging what they hear, or letting their emotions interfere. Anger often grows from misinterpretation, assumptions, or incomplete understanding. By learning to listen fully, you not only prevent misunderstandings, but also diffuse potential conflicts before they start. Listening is not passive. It is a deliberate action that strengthens your control, your relationships, and your emotional balance. When you truly listen, you focus on the other person completely. You pay attention to their words, their tone, and their body language. Every detail matters because it reveals context, intention, and emotion. People express far more than the words they use. By observing tone, pace, and gestures, you gain insight that changes how you respond. Listening fully means putting aside distractions, judgments, and your own assumptions. You create a mental space where the other person can express themselves honestly and completely, and in doing so, you reduce the likelihood of anger taking over. Anger is often fueled by the gaps between what we think we heard and what was actually said. By listening carefully, you close those gaps. You understand the real message, not the one your mind created. Many conflicts arise from projecting our own frustrations onto others' words. Listening fully prevents that projection. You hear the facts, the emotions, and the intentions, which allows for measured and thoughtful responses rather than impulsive reactions. Practical listening requires focus. When someone speaks, direct your attention entirely to them. Resist the urge to interrupt or formulate your reply. Notice pauses, repetitions, and subtle cues. These are all pieces of the puzzle that help you comprehend the full meaning. Anger thrives when assumptions fill in gaps in understanding. By listening fully, you replace assumptions with knowledge, and knowledge disarms anger. You transform reactive energy into strategic energy. Listening also involves empathy. Put yourself in the other person's perspective without losing your own awareness. Try to sense their feelings, motivations, and pressures. You do not have to agree with them, but understanding their perspective reduces the intensity of your emotional response. Empathy gives context, and context reduces anger. It enables you to respond with insight instead of confrontation. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to stay composed in situations that would have triggered rage in the past. Active listening can include repeating or summarizing what the other person says internally. This reinforces your understanding and ensures you do not misinterpret. Often, simply confirming comprehension in your mind calms your own emotional state. You feel more in control because you are interacting with information clearly rather than reacting to your assumptions. The clarity that comes from listening fully reduces the impulsive energy that anger feeds on. Listening fully also strengthens relationships. People respond positively when they feel truly heard. They lower their defenses, express themselves more clearly, and engage in productive dialogue. This reduces tension and prevents escalation. Anger cannot grow in an environment where communication is accurate and understanding is mutual. Listening is a strategic tool that influences outcomes and preserves peace in personal and professional interaction. It is important to note that listening requires discipline. It is tempting to judge, interrupt, or respond emotionally. Training yourself to pause, focus, and understand before reacting is a skill that must be developed deliberately. Begin with small conversation. Practice listening without immediately offering advice or judgment. Notice the difference in how the interaction flows when the other person feels genuinely understood. Over time, you will see a measurable reduction in unnecessary conflicts. Listening also helps you understand your own reactions. When you listen fully, you observe not only the other person's words, but also your internal response. What feelings arise? What assumptions do you make? Awareness of your own triggers allows you to manage your emotions effectively. You are not simply reacting to someone else. You are responding consciously to a complete picture of the situation. This insight builds emotional intelligence and reinforces the habit of staying calm under pressure. By listening carefully, you also gain information that might not be obvious at first glance. People often reveal their intentions, constraints, or pressures indirectly. Paying attention allows you to gather the full context and make better decisions. Misunderstandings, frustration, and anger decrease when you know the facts, instead of assuming motives. Knowledge gives you power to act wisely and remain composed, even in challenging situations. Listening fully transforms conflicts into opportunities for growth. Every difficult conversation becomes a chance to understand someone better, to refine your communication skills, and to strengthen your self-control. You begin to notice patterns in how you respond and how others behave. This awareness allows you to prepare mentally for challenging interactions and maintain composure under pressure. Listening is a tool that cultivates patience, wisdom, and emotional resilience. It is also crucial to combine listening with silence. Resist the urge to fill gaps with words. Sometimes the other person needs time to process and express. Silence shows respect and allows you to absorb information fully. The pause created by listening carefully prevents impulsive responses, giving you control over your emotional state. When others feel heard, they respond more calmly, and you maintain your composure. Practicing listening fully is not limited to conversations with friends or colleagues. It applies to family, strangers, public interactions, and even internal dialogue. Observing your thoughts, interpreting information accurately, and avoiding assumptions strengthens the habit across all situations. The more consistently you practice, the more automatic it becomes. You respond with clarity instead of irritation. You resolve tension instead of escalating it. You become someone others trust and respect for your composure and understanding. Listening fully also enhances problem solving. When you understand the real issue behind words, you can respond with solutions rather than reacting to surface-level irritations. Anger clouds judgment and narrows focus, but listening clears the mind and reveals actionable paths. You gain insight, not frustration. You act, not react. You influence outcomes positively instead of creating additional challenges. Reflection after interactions reinforces this skill. Think back to conversations where you listened fully. Evaluate how understanding changed the outcome. Notice how fewer misunderstandings arose and how your calm presence affected the dynamic. Use this feedback to improve future interactions. Over time, listening becomes a reflexive habit that protects against anger, strengthens relationships, and improves decision-making. Listening fully is a choice and a practice that requires commitment. It is not easy, and it requires focus and patience. The payoff, however, is immense. Anger diminishes because your understanding grows. Conflicts are prevented because miscommunication is reduced. You gain control because you respond based on facts and empathy, not assumptions and impulses. The life of someone who listens fully is calmer, more strategic, and far more rewarding. Master this skill consistently. Let listening become your default mode in difficult conversations. Engage actively, focus entirely, and understand completely. Protect your emotional state by refusing to act until you have absorbed the full message. This simple, practical, and powerful approach allows you to manage anger, strengthen relationships, and navigate life with clarity and authority. Number 5, practice patience daily. Patience is not a weakness. It is a superpower that transforms every aspect of your life. Most people underestimate how much energy, peace, and opportunity they lose by reacting impulsively. Anger grows when patience is absent. Every moment of frustration, every hasty judgment, every quick response adds unnecessary tension to your life. Practicing patience daily is the key to maintaining calm, making better decisions, and building resilience in the face of challenges. Patience is not passive waiting. It is active self-control that strengthens your mind and character. Begin by understanding that patience is a skill, not an innate trait. It requires deliberate practice every single day. Situations will arise that challenge your temper, but these are opportunities to train yourself. Each time you choose to pause instead of reacting immediately, you build mental strength. Small victories accumulate into lasting control over your emotional state. The moments you resist frustration become the foundation of a life less dominated by anger. Daily practice starts with awareness. Notice moments when impatience begins to rise. Perhaps someone is moving too slowly, or a task is taking longer than expected. Observe the tension in your body and the thoughts racing through your mind. By recognizing impatience early, you prevent it from escalating into anger. Awareness gives you the power to respond intentionally instead of being driven by emotion. The more frequently you practice noticing these moments, the more natural patience becomes. Patience requires control over your expectations. Anger often stems from wanting things to happen immediately or people to behave in a certain way. Life rarely conforms to our schedule or desires. By adjusting expectations and accepting that some things take time, you reduce the triggers for frustration. Patience is built when you allow situations to unfold without forcing outcomes. This mindset creates a calm and steady presence that others notice and respect. Focus on your breath when impatience arises. Simple, slow inhalations and exhalations help anchor your mind and body in the present moment. Physical tension decreases and your brain regains clarity. Using breath as a tool during moments of challenge strengthens your ability to remain composed. Each conscious breath reinforces patience, showing your mind that you are in control of your responses, rather than at the mercy of circumstances. Practicing patience also involves reframing your perspective. View delays or obstacles as opportunities to strengthen discipline and self-control. Each waiting period, each minor irritation is a chance to exercise calm and restraint. When you see challenges as training grounds for patience, frustration loses its power. Your mindset shifts from reaction to deliberate choice, and anger diminishes naturally. Patience improves relationships because it allows you to respond rather than react. When you are patient with others, you listen more fully, communicate more effectively, and avoid conflicts that arise from impulsive actions. People feel understood and respected, and tension decreases in both personal and professional interactions. Patience fosters trust, strengthens connections, and creates a stable environment where cooperation thrives. Daily practice of patience also enhances problem solving. Hasty decisions made in anger often create more problems than they solve. When you pause, observe, and allow yourself the time to think, solutions become clearer and more effective. Patience gives your mind the opportunity to weigh options, consider consequences, and make strategic choices. You act with intention rather than reaction, and the results are consistently better. Another key to practicing patience is setting small, intentional challenges for yourself. For example, deliberately wait a few extra minutes before responding to a frustrating email or pause before speaking in a heated conversation. These exercises train your mind to delay immediate reactions and lead the habit of calm restraint. Over time, these small moments of practice accumulate into a natural, consistent ability to remain composed in difficult situations. Patience also strengthens resilience. Life presents obstacles, delays, and disappointments constantly. Without patience, these moments lead to frustration, anger, or despair. With patience, you endure without losing your focus or composure. You develop the ability to persist through challenges without being emotionally hijacked. This resilience becomes a competitive advantage in work, relationships, and personal growth. It is important to combine patience with mindfulness. Focus on the present moment instead of rushing toward an imagined future or clinging to a past mistake. Mindfulness and patience work together to reduce impulsive reactions. By observing what is happening without judgment, you create space between stimulus and response. This space allows for deliberate action rather than emotional outbursts. The more you practice this, the more automatic it becomes. Patience also teaches you to manage expectations of others. People will make mistakes, misunderstand situations, or move slower than you would like. Reacting with anger only escalates tension. By practicing patience, you give others the space to act while maintaining your own composure. You become someone who influences rather than intimidates. Someone who leads with calm authority rather than volatility. Daily reflection reinforces patience. At the end of each day, review situations where impatience arose. Notice what triggered you, how you responded, and what could be improved. This reflection strengthens awareness, reinforces learning, and motivates continued growth. Each day becomes an opportunity to refine your skill and build emotional mastery. Patience also affects your internal dialogue. When you practice patience, your mind becomes less judgmental, less reactive, and more solution-oriented. You reduce internal tension by choosing calm over frustration, understanding over anger, and deliberation over impulsivity. This internal shift improves focus, decision-making, and overall emotional well-being. Remember that practicing patience daily is a commitment. Challenges will test you, and moments of anger will still arise. The difference is that you now have tools, awareness, and discipline to respond differently. Each day of practice strengthens your capacity to stay composed, think clearly, and act intentionally. Over time, patience becomes a natural state rather than a conscious effort. Patience also enhances self-respect. When you resist the urge to react impulsively, you demonstrate self-control and maturity. You maintain dignity even in difficult situations. People recognize your strength and your influence grows because composure attracts respect. The ability to wait, observe, and respond thoughtfully signals power rather than weakness. Practicing patience daily also builds consistency. Life is unpredictable, but your reactions can be steady. By exercising patience in small situations, you prepare yourself for bigger challenges. This consistency creates a stable, reliable presence in your life, making you more effective in every interaction. Anger no longer disrupts your momentum or clouds your judgment. Incorporating patience into every part of your day creates a profound ripple effect. You handle stress more effectively, communicate more clearly, and make wiser decisions. Your relationships benefit, your personal growth accelerates, and your peace of mind deepens. Each day of deliberate practice compounds into a life where anger is controlled, frustration is minimized, and calmness becomes your default state. Finally, understand that patience is a choice, a practice, and a mindset. It requires discipline, awareness, and consistent effort. Each moment you choose patience over frustration strengthens your ability to remain composed, think strategically, and act intentionally. The habit of patience changes not only how you respond to life, but also the quality of the life you experience. Mastering patience daily transforms anger into calm, impulsivity into reflection, and challenges into opportunities for growth. Number 6, focus on solutions, not blame. Take control of your life by focusing on solutions instead of wasting energy on blame. Anger often grows when people fixate on who caused a problem rather than how to fix it. Every minute spent blaming is a minute lost from progress, clarity, and personal growth. Shifting your attention from fault to action changes everything about how you handle challenges. Solutions provide forward motion, while blame keeps you stuck in frustration and resentment. You gain power, clarity, and control when you direct your energy toward resolving problems instead of assigning fault. Start by recognizing the instinct to blame. When something goes wrong, notice how quickly your mind wants to identify who or what is at fault. This is natural, but it does not serve you. Blame triggers anger, defensiveness, and conflict. It does not solve the problem. By observing this instinct, you take the first step toward redirecting your energy towards solutions. Awareness is the foundation for practical change. Focus on facts instead of assumptions. Often, anger and blame are fueled by incomplete information or misinterpretation. Collect accurate details about the situation. Ask questions, listen carefully, and observe objectively. The more you understand the reality of the situation, the easier it becomes to identify a solution. Facts provide a clear path forward, while assumptions keep you trapped in frustration. Ask yourself what actions are possible right now to improve the situation. Solutions are practical and actionable. They involve steps you can take immediately rather than dwelling on what went wrong or who caused it. Every moment spent thinking about blame is a moment that could have been used to create progress. Focusing on solutions empowers you to take control and reduce anger naturally. Shift your language from judgment to possibility. Replace "this is their fault" with "what can I do to fix this?" The words you use shape your mindset, Solution-oriented language directs your mind to action instead of reactivity. When you consistently frame situations in terms of solutions, your emotions stay balanced and your ability to respond effectively increases. Take responsibility for what you can control. Even if others contributed to the problem, you have the power to influence outcomes through your actions. By concentrating on your own behavior and decisions, you regain control of the situation. Blaming others only gives away your power and prolongs frustration. Focusing on solutions ensures your energy is invested in areas where it produces real result. Break problems down into actionable steps. Large challenges often feel overwhelming, which triggers anger and blame. By dividing the situation into manageable actions, you reduce emotional intensity and create a clear plan. Each small step completed builds momentum and confidence. Action replaces anger and clarity replaces frustration. Solutions are tangible, blame is not. Collaborate when appropriate. Solutions are often found through communication, teamwork, and shared problem solving. Listen to others, gather ideas, and consider multiple perspectives. Collaboration strengthens understanding, reduces conflict, and increases the likelihood of effective outcomes. Blame isolates and divides, while solution-focused action unites and empowers. Maintain emotional control while seeking solutions. Anger clouds judgment, narrows focus, and reduces creativity. By staying calm, you think more clearly and identify options that are realistic and effective. Techniques such as deep breathing, observation, and reflection support your ability to respond strategically rather than emotionally. Calmness enhances problem solving and prevents unnecessary escalation. Prioritize action over discussion. Spending excessive time debating blame wastes energy and time. Identify the most important steps that will resolve the issue and act on them immediately. Action is progress, while arguments about fault maintain tension and prevent improvement. The faster you move towards solutions, the quicker peace and clarity return. Reflect on past situations to strengthen this habit. Consider times when you focused on solutions and times when you focused on blame. Analyze the difference in outcomes. Notice how solution-oriented actions led to faster resolution, less stress, and stronger relationships. Reflection reinforces learning, making it easier to adopt this mindset consistently in the future. Adopt a proactive mindset. Anticipate potential problems and think ahead about possible solutions before challenges arise. Preparation reduces stress, prevents reactive anger, and allows you to act efficiently. Blame rarely prevents problems, but foresight and planning build resilience. A proactive approach keeps you composed under pressure. Practice empathy in problem solving. Consider the perspectives and limitations of others involved. Understanding motivations, pressures, and constraints improves collaboration and reduces the urge to blame. Empathy shifts your focus from judgment to actionable understanding. This strengthens relationships while supporting practical solutions. Replace negative internal dialogue with constructive questions. Instead of thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I do now to improve this situation?" This subtle shift changes your mindset, reduces frustration, and channels energy into action. Your thoughts determine your actions, and solution-focused thinking fosters calm and effectiveness. Recognize that mistakes are opportunities to learn. Every challenge contains lessons if approached constructively. Blaming yourself or others creates guilt, shame, and anger, which prevents growth. Seeking solutions focuses your attention on what can be done differently moving forward. Learning from challenges builds resilience, wisdom, and emotional strength. Visualize the desired outcome. Clarity about the end goal helps direct your efforts efficiently. Solutions require focus on results, not complaints or accusations. By imagining the positive result and planning actionable steps to reach it, you maintain motivation and reduce the influence of anger. A clear goal makes action more precise and impactful. Act consistently with integrity. Take actions that align with your values and principles while resolving challenges. Integrity ensures that solutions are sustainable, fair, and respected by others. Blame often undermines trust, but solution-focused behavior builds credibility and influence. Acting with purpose reinforces calm, strategic thinking, and emotional control. Celebrate progress, not just completion. Recognize each step you take toward solving a problem. This reinforces your focus on action and diminishes the satisfaction derived from blame or venting anger. Acknowledging progress strengthens confidence, motivation, and resilience, which encourages continued solution-focused behavior. Use setbacks as opportunities to practice patience and persistence. Solutions are rarely immediate or perfect. Challenges may require multiple attempts, but consistent focus on actionable steps leads to resolution. Frustration diminishes when you view obstacles as part of the process rather than personal attacks or failures. Persistence strengthens your ability to remain calm, think clearly, and act effectively under pressure. Teaching others the importance of focusing on solutions creates a positive environment. When those around you adopt this mindset, conflicts are minimized, cooperation increases, and collective problem-solving improves. Influence spreads when example is combined with consistent solution-focused action. Blame loses its power in a community built around action and responsibility. Finally, understand that focusing on solutions is a choice and a daily practice. Challenges will arise, mistakes will happen, and people will disappoint you. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can control how you respond. By prioritizing solutions, taking action, collaborating, and maintaining emotional control, you transform potentially anger-inducing situations into opportunities for growth, understanding, and achievement. Solutions build momentum, resilience, and peace, while blame only perpetuates frustration and anger. Choosing solutions consistently changes your life, your relationships, and your capacity to remain calm under pressure. Number 7. Reflect on triggers. Understanding your triggers is the key to controlling your emotions before they control you. Most people live their lives reacting automatically to situations without ever pausing to analyze what truly sets them off. Anger often erupts in moments when you fail to recognize the patterns that lead to it. Reflecting on your triggers allows you to see the root causes of frustration, irritation, and resentment. This reflection is not about judgment or guilt. It is about clarity, awareness, and empowerment. By knowing your triggers, you gain the ability to manage your responses and maintain calm under pressure. Start by paying attention to the moments when anger surfaces. Notice what events, words, or behaviors precede your emotional reaction. Record these instances mentally or in a journal. Be specific, include who was involved, what was said, where it occurred, and how you felt physically and emotionally. Observation without reflection is incomplete. Recording the details helps you identify consistent patterns over time. Awareness of these patterns allows you to anticipate challenging situations before they escalate. Recognize the underlying causes of each trigger. Often, anger is not about the external event itself, but about your internal interpretation. It could be unmet expectations, fear of loss, feelings of disrespect, or past unresolved experiences. Reflecting deeply on why a situation provokes anger exposes the truth beneath your reactions. This insight transforms reactive behavior into intentional behavior. You begin to respond with understanding instead of impulsive emotion. Analyze your physical responses during triggers. Anger often manifests through tension in the body, rapid heartbeat, tight muscles, and shallow breathing. By observing these physical signals, you create an early warning system for yourself. When you recognize these cues, you can intervene before anger escalates. Reflection on triggers is not only mental, but also bodily. Awareness of your physical state strengthens self-control and reinforces emotional mastery. Examine the thoughts that accompany your triggers. What stories does your mind tell in these moments? Are you assuming the worst? Are you personalizing someone else's behavior? These automatic thoughts feed anger. By reflecting on them, you identify distortions and unrealistic expectations. This process helps you separate fact from interpretation, reducing the intensity of your emotional response. Reflection teaches your mind to think clearly, calmly, and strategically rather than reactively. Identify patterns across different situations. You may notice that specific types of interactions, certain people, or particular environments consistently trigger anger. Recognizing these patterns allows you to plan and prepare. You gain foresight and can manage situations proactively rather than being caught off guard. Understanding patterns gives you a roadmap for personal growth and emotional stability. Use reflection to explore your personal values and boundaries. Triggers often arise when your core values feel challenged or when boundaries are crossed. Identifying these moments helps you clarify what is most important to you. Once you know your non-negotiables, you can respond assertively without resorting to anger. Reflection empowers you to set limits calmly and consistently, protecting your emotional well-being while maintaining respect for others. Practice reflecting daily. Set aside time to review situations that caused frustration or irritation. Ask yourself what triggered your reaction, how you responded, and what could be done differently next time. Daily reflection strengthens self-awareness, making it easier to recognize triggers in the moment The habit of reflection reinforces emotional intelligence and prepares you for future challenges. Reflect not only on external triggers, but also on internal states. Fatigue, hunger, stress, and unresolved personal issues intensify anger. Awareness of how your internal condition influences reactions allows you to take preventive measures. Addressing these internal factors before confronting a challenging situation reduces the likelihood of emotional escalation. Reflection on triggers includes understanding both internal and external influences on your behavior. Consider the consequences of past reactions. Reflecting on how anger affected outcomes helps you evaluate the effectiveness of your responses. Did it solve the problem or make it worse? Did it damage relationships or create unnecessary tension? Reflection teaches accountability and provides motivation to improve. By reviewing the results of previous reactions, you learn to choose more constructive responses in the future. Incorporate mindful observation during the reflection process. Focus entirely on the present experience of reviewing triggers without judgment or self-criticism. Mindfulness amplifies your awareness, allowing you to see situations clearly, rather than through the lens of resentment or defensiveness. Mindful reflection strengthens your ability to stay calm, deliberate, and grounded, even when facing provocation. Explore solutions as part of reflecting on triggers. Consider what actions you could take to prevent or manage similar situations in the future. Reflection is not just about understanding, but also about planning. Identifying strategies in advance reduces stress, prevents impulsive anger, and builds confidence in handling challenges. Every insight gained through reflection becomes a tool for personal mastery. The reflecting on triggers also improves communication. Awareness of what provokes anger allows you to explain your feelings calmly and assertively. You can set boundaries, clarify expectations, and express concerns without aggression. Reflection strengthens your ability to engage constructively with others, turning potential conflict into an opportunity for understanding. Recognize that triggers are opportunities for growth. Each situation that provokes anger is a lesson in self-mastery, patience, and emotional resilience. Reflection helps you extract the lesson, identify your response options, and strengthen your ability to remain composed. What once caused frustration can become a tool for developing discipline and emotional intelligence. Reflect on long-term patterns as well. Some triggers are rooted in deep-seated beliefs or past experiences. Identifying these requires honesty, patience, and courage. Understanding how your history influences your reactions allows you to address unresolved issues and break cycles of repeated anger. Reflection becomes a powerful method for transformation, enabling you to respond from a place of awareness rather than old habits. Documenting reflections enhances effectiveness. Writing down triggers, reactions, and insights provides clarity and tracks progress over time. Reviewing your notes allows you to see improvements, recognize recurring challenges, and reinforce strategies that reflection becomes more structured and actionable, creating a roadmap for personal growth and emotional control. Share reflections with trusted individuals, if appropriate. Discussing triggers with mentors, friends, or professionals provides additional perspectives. Others can offer guidance, suggest solutions, or help identify blind spots you may overlook. Reflection combined with constructive feedback accelerates learning and strengthens your ability to manage anger in real situations. Integrate reflection into moments of calm, not only after conflicts. Preparing in advance by analyzing potential triggers equips you to handle situations with composure when they arise. Anticipatory reflection creates readiness and reduces the intensity of emotional reactions. You learn to navigate challenges with foresight, rather than being controlled by impulsive feelings. Make reflection a consistent habit. Just as physical fitness requires regular exercise, emotional mastery requires regular introspection. Daily reflection reinforces self-awareness, enhances decision-making, and solidifies emotional control. Over time, reflection transforms automatic reactions into deliberate, thoughtful responses. Anger becomes manageable, and clarity becomes your default state. Finally, understand that reflecting on triggers is not about perfection, but about progress. You will still encounter situations that provoke frustration, but each moment of reflection increases your control, awareness, and ability to respond effectively. Reflection transforms emotional reactivity into deliberate action, strengthens resilience, and builds a foundation for lifelong composure and emotional intelligence. Mastering this process empowers you to navigate life with clarity, calmness, and authority, reducing anger and improving every aspect of your interactions and decisions. Number 8. Speak slowly in arguments. Control the pace of your words to control the outcome of every argument. Speaking slowly is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools to maintain composure and prevent anger from taking over. Rapid speech fuels tension, escalates emotions, and encourages reactive responses. When you slow down, you create space for thought, clarity, and rationality. Every argument has the potential to escalate unnecessarily when people speak without pause. But measured speech keeps control firmly in your hands. Begin by consciously noticing how fast you speak during disagreements. Most people do not realize that rapid, heated words increase emotional intensity, making conflicts more volatile. By slowing your speech, you slow the emotional charge of the moment. Each deliberate word signals calmness, allowing both you and the other person to process information clearly. Slower speech gives your mind time to organize ideas and respond with purpose rather than impulse. Pause between sentences. These brief moments of silence allow you to evaluate what was said, consider the best response, and manage your own emotional state. Pauses prevent reactive outbursts and encourage more thoughtful communication. They also demonstrate control and confidence, which can de-escalate tension in the other person. Arguments often spiral out of control when there is no pause between reactive statements. Strategic pauses interrupt that pattern. Pay attention to tone along with pace. Speaking slowly does not mean monotone or emotionless. It means measured, calm, and deliberate. Your voice communicates as much as your words. When your tone remains even, you project authority and composure, reducing the chances of anger escalating on either side. The combination of slow speech and controlled tone transforms a potentially volatile situation into a controlled dialogue. Articulate your words clearly. Rushing through sentences often leads to misunderstanding and misinterpretation. Clear, slow communication ensures that your message is received as intended. Miscommunication is a frequent trigger for anger, so clarity reduces frustration for both parties. By making every word count, you elevate the quality of the conversation and prevent unnecessary escalation. Practice mindfulness while speaking. Focus fully on the conversation and on your responses. Avoid thinking ahead to what you want to say next, or reacting impulsively to perceived attacks. Mindful attention allows you to choose each word carefully and maintain emotional balance. Being fully present while speaking slowly strengthens the effectiveness of your communication and reduces the emotional fuel that feeds anger. Observe the physical effect of slow speech on your body. Slower speech naturally slows breathing, lowers heart rate, and relaxes muscle tension. This physiological shift directly impacts your emotional state, making it easier to remain calm. Anger is amplified by rapid, shallow breathing and tense muscles. By speaking slowly, you regulate both your mind and your body, reducing the intensity of emotional reaction. Use slow speech strategically to redirect conflict. When the other person is speaking heatedly, respond at a calm, deliberate pace. Your measured approach can set the tone for the conversation, encouraging the other person to slow down and think. Influence the dynamics of the argument by controlling the rhythm. Slow speech diffuses tension, signals composure, and creates space for resolution instead of escalation. Combine slow speech with active listening. Do not interrupt or talk over the other person. Allow them to express themselves fully before responding. Slow, attentive responses communicate respect and understanding, which decreases defensiveness and aggression. Arguments often worsen when people speak quickly without listening. Your calm, deliberate pace encourages constructive dialogue rather than reactionary conflict. Reflect on word choice. Speaking slowly gives you time to select precise, non-confrontational language. Avoid accusatory or inflammatory words that escalate anger. Thoughtful language paired with deliberate pacing prevents misunderstandings and allows you to address issues rationally. Each word chosen with care reduces the emotional charge and increases the chance of resolution. Observe patterns in arguments where fast speech leads to escalation. Recognize triggers that make you want to speak quickly. Stress, fear, urgency, or frustration. Identifying these triggers allows you to intentionally slow your speech before reacting. Awareness empowers you to interrupt automatic patterns and replace them with controlled, strategic communication. Each instance of slowed speech builds habit and mastery. Practice speaking slowly outside of conflict situations. Use everyday conversations as training grounds. Slower, intentional communication strengthens your ability to apply the technique under pressure. When the habit is internalized, it becomes automatic during disagreements, helping you maintain calm without conscious effort. Regular practice builds confidence and reinforces emotional control. Pair slow speech with breathing techniques. Inhale deeply before responding. and exhale as you speak. This synchronizes mind and body, reducing tension and promoting clarity. Breathing in rhythm with speech stabilizes your nervous system, decreases adrenaline, and allows you to maintain control, even in heated moments. Calm, deliberate breathing coupled with slow speech is a highly effective method to prevent anger from escalating. Observe the impact of slow speech on others. People are influenced by your pace, tone, and clarity. Speaking slowly can encourage others to lower their voice, think carefully, and respond thoughtfully. This reduces conflict intensity and promotes productive dialogue. Your composure can serve as a stabilizing force in otherwise volatile interactions. Practice summarizing your points before responding. Slow speech allows you to mentally organize thoughts, ensuring you address the issue constructively rather than reactively. Summarizing helps clarify misunderstandings and keeps the conversation on track. Each well-articulated point contributes to resolution and demonstrates self-control. Arguments become opportunities for clarity instead of escalation. Maintain awareness of emotional triggers while speaking. Notice when anger or frustration begins to rise, and consciously slow your words further to counteract impulsive tendencies. Control over speech. Pace is a form of emotional regulation. It strengthens your ability to navigate tension with intentionality, preventing reactive outbursts that worsen conflict. Slow speech reinforces self-respect and authority. When you communicate with composure, others recognize your ability to handle pressure and respond rationally. You demonstrate control over your emotions rather than being dominated by circumstances. Authority and respect are earned through calm, deliberate communication, which discourages provocation and reduces conflict escalation. Use slow speech as a tool for problem solving. When both parties are calm and deliberate, solutions become clearer and reasoning improves. Anger clouds judgment, but measured speech fosters strategic thinking. Approaching disagreements with a solution-oriented mindset, expressed slowly and clearly, transforms conflicts into productive discussions. Reflect after arguments on the effectiveness of slow speech. Notice how pacing influenced your emotional state, the other person's reactions, and the overall outcome. Continuous reflection strengthens the habit, improves future performance, and increases confidence in maintaining composure. Each successful application reinforces the power of deliberate communication. Finally, understand that speaking slowly in arguments is both a skill and a mindset. It requires awareness, practice, and intentionality. You cannot control every situation or every word spoken by others, but you can control your pace, tone, and clarity. By prioritizing slow, thoughtful speech, you maintain composure, reduce anger, enhance problem solving, and influence outcomes positively. Consistently applying this practice transforms the way you navigate conflicts, improving relationships, decision-making, and emotional resilience. Number 9, accept what cannot change. True strength begins when you accept what cannot change and focus your energy where it matters. Resistance to reality only creates frustration, anger, and unnecessary suffering. Every day, life presents situations beyond your control. Circumstances, decisions of others, past events, and outcomes you cannot alter. Fighting against these facts drains your energy and clouds your judgment. Acceptance is not giving up or condoning what happens. It is recognizing reality clearly, preserving your power, and choosing how to respond wisely. By embracing what cannot be changed, you reclaim control over your emotions, your focus, and your life. Begin by distinguishing between what you can influence and what you cannot. Write down the challenges you face and evaluate which elements are truly within your control. Often, people expend enormous energy worrying about outcomes they cannot affect, creating anger and resentment. Acceptance begins with clear boundaries of influence. Direct your energy toward what you can act on, and release the rest. This approach increases efficiency, reduces frustration, and strengthens emotional stability. Observe your reactions to unchangeable circumstances. When faced with events beyond your control, notice feelings of irritation, resentment, or impatience. These emotions are natural but counterproductive if they dominate your mindset. Reflecting on why these situations provoke anger helps you identify areas where acceptance is required. Awareness precedes action. Recognizing the futility of resisting what cannot change empowers you to shift focus toward productive responses. Practice mental reframing. Instead of asking why something happened or who is responsible, ask what lessons can be learned or how you can respond constructively. Acceptance involves acknowledging reality while seeking opportunities to grow from it. This mindset reduces anger and increases resilience. It allows you to remain calm and purposeful, even in circumstances that once caused frustration. Control your internal dialogue. Often the struggle against unchangeable events occurs in your mind. Thoughts such as "this should not be happening," or "I cannot tolerate this," fuel emotional turmoil. Replace these with statements like "this cannot be changed, so I will focus on what I can do." Thought patterns shape your emotional state. Deliberate control over internal dialogue is a practical step toward acceptance and calm. Develop patience as part of acceptance. Some situations take time to resolve or adjust to. Impatience intensifies anger and stress. By cultivating patience, you allow events to unfold naturally while maintaining composure. Patience and acceptance work together to transform frustration into calm, providing a foundation for rational decision-making and measured responses. Practice letting go physically and mentally. Carrying tension, stress, or resentment about unchangeable events creates physical and emotional strain. Techniques such as deep breathing, stretching, or meditation support the release of resistance. Letting go is a deliberate action that reinforces acceptance and reduces the intensity of emotional reactions. Your mind and body become aligned with reality rather than fighting against it. Shift attention to action where possible. Acceptance does not mean passivity. Identify what steps you can take to improve the situation or adapt to it. Focus on tangible solutions, adjustments, or behaviors that influence outcomes within your control. This action-oriented approach ensures that acceptance enhances effectiveness rather than promoting resignation. Energy spent on constructive responses generates progress and stability. Observe the long-term benefits of acceptance. People who resist unchangeable circumstances experience recurring anger, disappointment, and stress. Those who practice acceptance maintain clarity, emotional balance, and decision-making power. Acceptance creates a steady mindset that is resilient to challenges and less vulnerable to emotional hijacking. Consistent practice cultivates a strong, calm, and effective presence in all areas of life. Recognize that acceptance strengthens relationships. Conflict often arises from resistance to reality, whether with yourself or others. Accepting situations as they are allows you to engage constructively without projecting anger or frustration. This reduces tension, fosters understanding, and improves communication. Accepting what cannot change enhances empathy, patience, and collaborative problem solving. Use reflection to reinforce acceptance. At the end of each day, review situations where resistance or anger occurred over uncontrollable events. Analyze your reactions and identify how acceptance could have improved your response. Reflection deepens understanding and strengthens habits of emotional regulation and highlights growth over time. Daily review turns experiences into lessons that enhance composure and wisdom. Practice gratitude alongside acceptance. Even in unchangeable circumstances, there are elements worthy of appreciation. Focusing on what is positive or constructive shifts your attention away from frustration. Gratitude amplifies acceptance, reduces anger, and strengthens emotional resilience. The combination of recognizing reality and appreciating the present cultivates inner peace and clarity. Accepting what cannot change requires courage. Facing reality honestly may challenge deeply held expectations, desires, or assumptions. Courage allows you to confront these truths without denial, anger, or avoidance. Each act of acceptance builds emotional strength, self-respect, and confidence in your ability to navigate life with composure. Courage transforms resignation into deliberate and empowered decision-making. Reinforce acceptance through daily habits. Journaling, meditation, or mindful reflection are practical ways to consistently practice acknowledging reality. Daily reinforcement strengthens the mind's ability to respond calmly when confronted with unchangeable events. The habit of acceptance becomes a natural response rather than a conscious effort, allowing emotional energy to be spent wisely. Recognize that acceptance influences your decision-making positively. When you stop wasting energy on futile resistance, you think more clearly and strategically. Anger clouds judgment, whereas acceptance clears mental space for rational, effective action. Choices become deliberate, solutions focused, and grounded in reality rather than emotional reactivity. Teach yourself to anticipate uncontrollable situations. Mentally rehearsing scenarios beyond your influence prepares you emotionally to respond with acceptance rather than frustration. Anticipatory practice reduces shock, surprise, and the tendency to react impulsively. This preparation builds resilience and reinforces a calm, solution-oriented mindset in the face of adversity. Balance acceptance with assertive action. Some situations require adaptation, negotiation, or strategic response, even when outcomes cannot be fully controlled. Acceptance does not equal passivity. By accepting the uncontrollable aspects and acting on what is influenceable, you maintain agency and effectiveness while reducing unnecessary anger. Accepting what cannot change also fosters mental clarity. Resistance generates mental clutter, ruminations, and stress. Acceptance frees your mind to focus on actionable tasks, personal growth, and long-term goals. A clear mind is less reactive, more strategic, and better equipped to handle challenges constructively. Reflect on the physical benefits of acceptance. Letting go of resistance reduces stress hormones, lowers blood pressure, and alleviates tension. Acceptance creates a calmer physiological state, which reinforces emotional stability. The body and mind work together to maintain balance, promoting overall well-being. Finally, internalize that acceptance is a daily practice and a mindset. Life will constantly present uncontrollable events. By choosing to accept what cannot change, you preserve energy, enhance emotional regulation, and increase effectiveness in areas within your control. Acceptance reduces anger, prevents frustration, and strengthens resilience. Each moment of conscious acceptance transforms challenges into manageable realities and creates a foundation for calm, purposeful, and empowered living. Mastering acceptance empowers you to navigate life with clarity, dignity, and strength, turning inevitable obstacles into opportunities for growth, composure, and long-term success. Number 10. Build self-discipline. Discipline is the foundation of emotional control and the ultimate weapon against anger. Without it, every frustration, every disappointment, and every provocation has the power to derail your day. Self-discipline gives you the ability to pause, reflect, and choose your response instead of reacting impulsively. It allows you to remain calm under pressure, respond strategically, and maintain control over your emotions. Building self-discipline is not about restriction or punishment. It is about strengthening your inner power, training your mind, and creating the freedom to act intentionally in every situation. Start by setting clear standards for your behavior. Decide in advance how you will respond to common provocations and stressful situations. When rules are internalized, reactions become automatic and consistent rather than reactive. Without predefined standards, anger becomes a default response to discomfort or challenge. Self-discipline trains your mind to follow chosen principles even when emotions are high, reducing conflict and frustration. Focus on small daily practices. Discipline is not built overnight. It grows through repeated, consistent action. Begin with manageable tasks like responding calmly when interrupted, speaking thoughtfully in heated conversations, or taking deep breaths before reacting. Each small success strengthens your ability to control impulses and reinforces emotional mastery. Gradually, these habits compound into a resilient mindset capable of standing greater challenges. Train your mind to delay reactions. When you feel anger rising, consciously pause before responding. Count to 10, take a deep breath, or step back mentally from the situation. This moment of delay allows rational thought to guide your actions rather than instinctive emotion. Self-discipline strengthens with each choice to act deliberately, proving to yourself that you are in control of your responses. Practice accountability for your emotions. Accept responsibility for your reactions instead of blaming others. Recognize that anger is a choice influenced by your thoughts and actions. By taking ownership, you remove the power of external circumstances to dictate your mood. Discipline grows when you consistently choose responsibility over excuse, empowerment over victimhood, and calm over reactive fury. Develop consistency in self-discipline. Emotional control is reinforced when you maintain standards daily, not only when convenient. Commit to exercising patience, restraint, and thoughtful decision-making across all aspects of life. Consistent practice embeds self-discipline deeply into your character, so even high-pressure situations are met with calm and rational response. Use visualization to strengthen your discipline. Imagine yourself in situations that normally provoke anger, and see yourself responding calmly, strategically, and effectively. Rehearsing this behavior mentally prepares your mind to act accordingly when the real scenario arises. Visualization builds confidence, reduces anxiety, and reinforces the muscle of self-control. Recognize triggers and design disciplined responses. Understand the situations, behaviors, or words that challenge your composure. Decide in advance how you will act, rather than react. This preparation allows discipline to guide you automatically, preventing anger from taking over. Awareness plus strategy forms a powerful combination for emotional mastery. Monitor progress regularly. Reflect on moments where self-discipline succeeded or failed. Identify what strategies helped you maintain composure and what obstacles weakened your control. Continuous evaluation strengthens your ability to adjust, improve, and sustain emotional regulation. Tracking progress keeps you accountable, motivated, and intentional in your practice. Exercise restraint in communication. Discipline applies to both internal and external actions. Speak deliberately, avoid inflammatory words, and resist the urge to interrupt or argue impulsively. Controlled speech prevents escalation, preserves relationships, and reinforces calmness. Every word chosen with discipline strengthens your ability to manage tension and diffuse anger in yourself and others. Build resilience through incremental challenges. Expose yourself gradually to situations that test patience and composure. Each encounter strengthens your capacity for self-discipline and reduces emotional reactivity. Controlled exposure trains your mind and body to remain steady under pressure, turning potential triggers into opportunities for growth. Establish routines that reinforce self-discipline. Habits such as regular exercise, adequate rest, structured planning, and mindfulness practices support emotional stability. A disciplined life externally nurtures discipline internally, creating a consistent foundation for calm, measured responses. Routine creates predictability and reduces the likelihood of being swept away by sudden frustrations. Reward disciplined behavior. Acknowledge moments where you acted with self-control instead of reacting impulsively. Positive reinforcement strengthens neural pathways associated with deliberate action, making disciplined responses easier and more natural over time. Recognition of your progress fuels motivation and solidifies long-term emotional mastery. Practice mindfulness to enhance self-discipline. Awareness of thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations allows you to detect anger before it escalates. Mindfulness gives you the choice to act with intention rather than react automatically. This conscious engagement strengthens your inner authority and reinforces consistent emotional regulation. Use structured reflection to strengthen habits. Analyze situations where you maintain control and where you faltered. Identify patterns, triggers, and strategies that work. Reflection turns experience into practical knowledge, deepening self-discipline and improving your ability to manage future challenges. Awareness plus application is the pathway to mastery. Control your environment to support discipline. Reduce exposure to situations or influences that consistently provoke anger. Surround yourself with people, routines, and stimuli that encourage calm, focus, and constructive behavior. Environmental design complements internal discipline and reduces unnecessary stress that could compromise emotional control. Strengthen self-discipline through deliberate decision-making. Consciously choose actions that align with long-term goals and emotional stability. Avoid impulsive behaviors driven by temporary discomfort or frustration. Each deliberate decision reinforces the habit of control, shaping character and improving outcomes. Maintain physical health as a pillar of discipline. Fatigue, hunger, and stress amplify emotional reactions. Exercise regularly, eat well, and rest adequately to support mental clarity and composure. A healthy body underpins a disciplined mind, creating resilience against triggers that might otherwise provoke anger. Combine discipline with problem solving. When anger arises, channel your energy toward constructive solutions rather than venting or blaming. Discipline directs action, enhances focus, and transforms challenges into manageable tasks. Anger dissipates when your mind is engaged in strategic thinking rather than reactive emotion. Understand that discipline is a lifelong practice. Each day presents new challenges, temptations, and opportunities to react impulsively. Continuous effort is required to maintain mastery over anger and impulsive responses. Commitment to self-discipline ensures that you respond with intention, maintain composure, and act in alignment with your principles regardless of circumstance. Teach discipline through example. Your consistent self-control influences those around you positively. Friends, family, and colleagues notice your calm composure, deliberate actions, and measured responses. Leading by example reinforces your own habits while creating an environment that encourages others to act thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. Finally, embrace the transformative power of self-discipline. It is not only a tool for controlling anger, but a way to strengthen your character, enhance decision-making, and create a life of purpose and composure. Discipline gives you freedom from impulsive reactions, clarity in chaotic situations, and the ability to navigate challenges with resilience and confidence. By committing to disciplined action daily, you develop mastery over emotions, reduce anger, and cultivate a life of intentional, empowered living that shapes your success, relationships, and well-being.